all beings. And in this interaction, it will still be possible to divert stagnant streams into the flowing stream of Philadelphia. This will be the constant refinement of our grosser three-dimensional physical properties. The good would not be so great a good if it were not to grow through the conquest of evil. Love would not be so intense if it had not to become love so great as to be able to overcome the wickedness in the countenance of evil beings. This is already being prepared for. Pupils are told. Therefore, you must not think that evil has no import in the plan of creation. Those who are being prepared in these teachings are pupils of the spiritual stream. The stream of Philadelphia, Steiner gives a name. It's the Manichaean school. I'm reminded of the cloud on the sanctuary and the various occult clubs that are trying to pass this sacred service of being intact through this sequence of history. And you may have read that he goes on a little bit about the Manichees and thinks that they got a bad rap. And he says, maybe you believe that from the very beginning of the world, they believe there have only been two principles, good and evil. Steiner says, not so. The teaching of the Manichees is what we have just explained in relation to good and evil. We have this equal interdependence, this this integrated duality. That there's not room for camps. It's simply all important. The Manichaeans. This is from Manichaeism, henceforth, Steiner says, should mean this teaching that we're discussing and its development in the future. And the pupils so led that they can accomplish such a task for future incarnations. From the Manichaeism, we have the root word manes, and it's this sort of trans-epochal zeitgeist. It's this, he calls it that exalted personality who is repeatedly incarnated on earth, who is the guiding spirit of those whose task it is to transform evil. The manes. When we speak of the great leaders of mankind, Steiner notes, we must also think of this individuality who has set himself this task, this manes personality. And the principle of manes obviously has receded in this sort of, as our fruit begins to stink, or as Steiner puts it, because of little understanding of spiritual work. This wonderful and lofty Manichaean principle will win more and more pupils the nearer we approach the understanding of spiritual life. Also, it's important to note that the beginning ages of every new epoch and the accessibility of those states are necessarily integrated with the last third of the previous epoch. And so we have sliding doors. And it's important to take note. So you see now, this sixth epoch of the seven seals is the letter or image of the crystallization of our egoic individualization and planetary transubstantiation, the non-physicality and our becoming immaterial, the solubility of the salt is this sixth epoch. But it's the letter, it's the image, it's the astral world. It's just like how we dream, we still see the things. We still have the shapes. We bring along the baggage of the visual, verbal, visceral terrain that we've confined ourselves to in the current epoch. So it's a crib of sorts. We're out of the cradle of, a little bit, but we're in the room. In the room itself, we've held on to the positioning of the crib. And this from this astral integrated epoch, the last third, or from the last of this culture, will found the civilization of the seventh epoch. This is the civilization of the seven trumpets. This is the seven trumpets John's speaking of in the Apocalypse. This is the epoch of the spheres, the music of the spheres, the sound of the heavenly bodies. Many a passionate artist has spoken of this, certainly higher mathematicians and musicians. I'm thinking of Kepler at the moment, but certainly the list goes on. Yeah, and that's there's names for it. We have the seven seals. It's called the seven seals, our sixth epoch, because the seer can only see it today from the astral world. And so too, the seven trumpets is called the seven trumpets because beings can only perceive it from the true spiritual world, where the tones of the spheres sound forth. And in this way, he says, it shall not be seen; it shall be beheld. It is the thought resounding forth in truth. It's the photonic oomph of truth. Woof woof, perhaps. And in this astral world, this sixth epoch, we're still perceiving these pictures, this dream life, these symbols. It's a liken to the mentated progression of the letter, the abstractification of being as we de-integrated from our earth self, or our feminine, our planet, in short. But so we are getting there, and when we do arrive in the epoch of the seven trumpets, we will be in Devachan, or Devachan, I'm not for sure. We'll say Devachan. And in Devachan, we perceive this inspiring music, the sound of the spheres. Devachan is contained with climax, as it were. It is what is revealed concerning what follows this great war of all against all. This is what's going on. We have our sixth epoch sort of writing the tutorial for how to perceive an astral understanding of our integration platforms, and then we have time to be, sound the trumpet, thoughts ring forth, evil cannot hide on one's face or in one's words. Everything we speak and live and feel is our color, the assembly of our light cocoons, the pattern of the color pattern of our chakras, the activity of our astral bodies, wearing our emotions and passions like garments, and we have this truth, and it's important to see these seven epochs from literally the beginning of the primordial stew to the end of the seventh epoch of after the seventh trumpet has sounded, and we are patched forth into the fully immaterial planet. It's broken into half. The first half is a Sun and Mars influence, and halfway through the fourth epoch we have a Moon and Mercury influence. The first half is the strength, the second half is the wisdom, or the first half is the power, and the second half is the wisdom. And we have the Sun-Mars influenced power, and then shifting into the Moon-Mercury based wisdom. And this is spanning the seven epochs, and within each epoch, the same transition is occurring within the epoch. That's why we have the last third being the wisest assembly each epoch